Simon, you'd have to agree over the last few weeks we've had some wonderful guests for our 9 o'clock special. But tonight we've really broken the mould because Mike Walsh, who mainly lives in London and Dublin these days, very rarely does media. And I don't blame him because he's all his life, you know, he's had his fans and the paparazzi chasing him. But because we're old school buddies, I guess he feels he owes me a favour.
Well, I have to say you've gone up in my estimation, Phil, and Ken's as well, because every week when you've said, "Oh, I'll see if I can get Mike," Ken and I go, "Yeah, we'll have a backup plan. You're not going to get Mike in," and yet here we are.
Well, you know, before we say hello to Mike, he deserves a special introduction.
For a special kind of people known as show.
Here's Mike Walsh, OBE, and this year appointed with an AM as well. Good to see you, Mike. Say hello to Simon Owens.
Simon, how are you?
Lovely
Very nice to see you. And Phil, good to see you.
It's so rare that you're in Melbourne. Do you have a reason for being home at the moment?
Well, I come out 3 times a year and spend some time in Sydney and some time in Melbourne. And this is the Melbourne bit.
Okay, well, it's good to have you in town. I think you were at Curtin's, a Jeannie Pratt show a week or
Yes,
so
the other
ago.
night. That was a number from it. Yeah.
Wasn't that fun?
And welcome back, incidentally, to something you started very much in this country, which is talk radio.
Oh, yes.
So Phil and I are just, we're latecomers to
Well,
this.
I don't want to get into that because every time I mention it, someone rings up and says, actually, my father started it.
Oh, yes. there's
In
always
Boggabri, or something, you know.
Yeah, I think Gerald Lyons takes the credit at 3DB, among others.
Yeah.
Well, I'm the official one. We'll leave it at that.
Exactly.
In the Broadcast Tribunal records.
Yes.
But of course,
I was the legal one.
Oh yes, but let's turn the clock back to 3SR Shepparton. That's where it all began, wasn't it?
Part of Victoria.
Yes. You just graduated in pharmacy, and I think I inspired people like yourself and Jim Murphy and Mike McCall-Jones.
It looked like
to
an
be in
easy way to
showbiz.
make money. I thought, yeah.
2 minutes into the interview and already Phil's been your inspiration.
Well, you know.
Self-proclaimed.
But it's been a wonderful ride for you, hasn't it?
It's been an interesting life, yeah. Been great.
And there's so much ahead of you. I mainly want to talk to you tonight about your theatre success because, Simon, you might be aware that Mike and I are at school together. We've known each other since we were about 10. But you always had a passion. I remember at a very early age, still at Burke Hall Primary School, you were very keen to buy the Ararat Picture Theatre, weren't you?
Oh, yeah. Well, it was advertised for sale in the paper, and you must realise that my parents owned hotels.
Okay.
They always called them hotels, not pubs, because they had accommodation and a dining room. So that's the definition of
Royal
a
Oak.
hotel.
The Royal Oak.
That was later, but at the time, I was at the Royal Oak when the Ararat Theatre came up for sale.
Oh.
And I cut out all the signs and stuck them around my parents' bedroom and said, well, instead of this hotel, we could be running a nice movie theatre. And so Frank went over there and took a photo.
Your
of it
brother
for me.
Frank, yeah.
Yes, he was going on bus to Adelaide, and so that was one. But I was always buying theatres and driving my parents mad with the great chance to invest in something nice and safe like show business.
You're a corridor boy, aren't you, originally?
Yeah, that's right. We own 2 different hotels there and a farm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you didn't want to become a publican yourself?
No, I didn't like it. I love being the other side of the bar, drinking. No, I really hated it. My brother was very good at it.
Yeah.
I was much better standing in front of 1,000 people than talking to 2 drunks at 10 o'clock on a Monday morning.
And now, because you're from the country, were you a boarder at Xavier
Yeah, I
originally?
was, yeah.
Did you enjoy those years?
No, but Mum used to say, I don't know why you bitch it so much, because you made a lot of good friends there.
Yeah.
And I came up with the report, people also made a lot of friends in prison of war camps.
Oh, that's very cruel, isn't it? How has your Jesuit education influenced your life?
I think the Jesuits we had were amazing.
Yes.
I often talk about it. I mean, they really were. They were very, very well-educated people. They studied for 15 years.
Yes.
And, they're wonderfully eccentric. There was one who collected ants. Remember him?
Father McAravey.
That's right.
Yeah.
They always said ants.
He collected ants, and he had little ant mills and that in his office.
Yeah.
And you could see the ants running around. But they always said if you're a Jesuit and you could prove that standing on your head in the corner of the room was for the greater glory and love of God, you're allowed to do it.
And you know, these days, sadly, there'd be perhaps one priest over at Xavier.
Oh, it's pathetic.
All the rest would all be lay people.
Yeah.
Well, now, after 2SM, you were
After
such...
that, no, you were only at Shepparton at that stage.
Yeah, but I mean, you got the offer to go to 2SM, and you really...
From 3XY. I was at 3XY before that.
Yeah, but you encouraged people really to turn off their TVs, didn't you, and go back to radio at
Yeah,
night.
that was good fun. Well, the only ad I had when I was put on to the 7 to 10 nighttime shift, I thought I was coming up to do afternoon. It's 4 to 7.
Yes.
And Bob Rogers decided to stay on, so they shoved me in at 7 o'clock. The only ad I had in the entire 3 hours was for an anti-TB inspection.
And that'd be a community service announcement
Yes,
anyway.
that's right. It was free. So after doing that for about 6 times of a night, I thought, I'll stuff this.
It's the same as Bruce and Phil when they started here in 1990. They had one commercial on that Sunday night, and it was community service. And
No, the commercial log that Alex Kenworthy left us was totally commercial free, except for an ad for the CUB footy. It was a footy promo, the only thing in 4 hours.
It was a promo, though.
Yeah, only a promo, yeah.
All right, well, I only had a promo, and I thought, anti-TB, I hate this bloody shift anyway, so I started a thing called Televiewers Anonymous, anti-TB, TV. And we got cards.
Caught on, didn't it?
Oh, it was enormous. We got the highest radio ratings since the halcyon days of Jack Davey.
Yes, that's wonderful.
It was amazing, yeah.
And so little did you know that TV was going to play such a big part in your own life later.
No, I must be honest. I remember meeting Reg Grundy one day at a cocktail party, and he said, "You're on the right track, aren't you?" I said, "What's that, Reg?" He said, "You'll get a television show out of this." And I said, "Oh, what a shock."
Can I ask, just back on the radio, your inspiration for getting into radio? Who did you've mentioned Jack Davey? Was he sort of a staple of yours when you were younger?
I don't know. I think Phil might as well take the credit as everyone else. I mean, because we were at school together, and you guys were all very keen on radio.
Yes, but I mean, there was Michael Shrimpton, who later went on to be executive producer of Canada. Jim Murphy, who became a very successful writer at The Listener Inn. Mike McCall-Jones, the comedy writer.
Right, yeah.
We were also at school with people like Dennis Scanlon and Peter Byrne, who went into radio, and several others. We were all gravitating around the same class, and I think because of truthfully, my passion for radio at the time, as you all know, we all jumped on the bandwagon together.
Yeah.
I mean...
But you got the first break, because you got the booth announcer job at
Channel 9. But see, Mike was very much behind the scenes. I remember when we went to Tasmania together, and you shot some 9.5mm film. Mike didn't voice it himself. He got me to voice it.
Yeah.
Because I was sort of the voice of the Maytime Fair and
you had a
everything.
ballsy voice.
Oh, what a compliment. Thank you very much for that.
I won't go any further.
So really, I don't think showbiz was in your blood from a very early age.
Oh, you're joking.
Theatres were.
Theatres, yes.
But I don't think you thought you wanted to be a performer.
I thought Hollywood would call one day.
Well, they might still.
Oh, God. Yeah, the toupee glue would be a fortune, wouldn't it? I really think I got... well, if you wanted to go into show business and your parents wouldn't even buy you the Ararat Theatre, you had to think of something like radio, and you guys were all doing radio, and I thought... Oh, I'll have a go at that. So it's show business, so that's what I did.
And then when was the first nibble to do some television? Where did that come from?
A thing called 10 on the Town at Channel 10 in Sydney.
All right. What sort of a show? Was that variety? Or?
No, it was like a pop show. It was very strange. They had I think it was called Let's Put This Together. They had a ballet company that were all on staff, and they didn't have a show for them.
Okay.
And they had me under contract, and they had nothing for me. So they devised a show which is like a pop show, and we used to shoot it all around the place on location. And I'd say, here is, and that was. Quite a lot.
Yeah, now we're not here to talk about your television career tonight, but was your next move to Channel 9 for the Today Show?
No, my first big break was a thing called 66 and all that for Channel 10 with Carlo Carter, Bill McGrath, Peter Whitford, Barry Crocker. It was quite a good show. It was like an answer to Mavis Bramston.
Yeah, that's right. It rings a bell, yeah.
But then, ding one.
But then 010 came knocking with the midday show, did they?
No. Then oh, God. I hardly remember this. It's many years ago. I was at 10, and then that's right. Then I did Talkback Radio. I claim to be the first to do it.
Yes.
I know that's wrong, but I will claim it tonight so they can all ring up. And then then I thought, well, I just looked at the picture of my grandfather in my office at Mount Eliza in my house, and I thought, you know, he had the guts to come out from Ireland to Australia to get work and make a go of it. And I'm having no luck here, so I might as well go back. So I went over to Ireland. And then I ended up doing a lot of work for the BBC, radio.
Well, it was late 60s, are we talking? Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
All right,
yeah.
okay.
Then I got sorted out by Screen Gems. They wanted me to go back and do a talk show.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, this could be the chance I wanted, because I always thought I'd be very good at a talk variety show.
All right.
And so, because I'd done a lot of, you know, theatre at university and all that.
Yeah.
And other bits and pieces. And then in London I was doing a bit of theatre work. So I thought, well, here goes. This is the big chance. So I came back for 3 months, first-class airfare, and stayed for 13 years.
Yeah, the rest is history, isn't it?
It is. Now, we need a break at this point, but when we come back...
Oh, commercials?
Oh, yes, we have them now.
Is there a TB one?
I hope so. We'll see if Ken can find one, at least on YouTube or something, and we'll fling that in as well.
Yes.
But we will break. When we come back, I want to find out... I had no idea that you owned any theatres before the big ones you've got.
Oh, well,
so I want to find out that path, how
I never got Ararat.
Oh, no. Well, there's always still time. It's 9:21. We are back at 9:24. Mike Walsh, special guest, live in studio.
Evening. Good evening.
Now, Mike, your first theatre. When did you? Your parents refused to buy you one because
Yes.
they're too busy wrapped
Very
up
unfair.
in hotels.
Yeah, well, the first one I actually bought was at Richmond, New South Wales.
Yes.
And funnily enough, it was built by Michael Walsh in 1938, the year I was born.
Oh.
And so that had a bit of a symbiosis. And then I bought my farm up the road from there.
Yes.
So I thought, when television gets rid of me, I'll at least have my local movie theatre and the farm. So,
Did it become a multiplex? Did you have to renovate
no, I
it?
never did that. No, I had to renovate it, but it had a stage on it. We used to put all sorts of things on it. David Frost, lots of Slim Dusty.
Okay.
You know.
Oh, huge.
Was it at the time, was it a good investment, or was it a risky thing? Yeah.
Well, I had a lot of money coming in from television at the time, so I thought now's the time to make a movie and get a movie theatre and a farm, which is what I always wanted to feel safe, you know.
And what about Cremorne? Did that follow later?
Oh, that was much later. I ended up owning 9 of one.
And
stage.
Penrith also, I think?
I built that, yeah.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. I built Penrith after I got Richmond, and then later on I ended up with Avalon, Collaroy and Cremorne.
All at the same time, or did you sort of outgrow one and move to another? And
It depended on how kind my bank manager was being, which was usually not at all.
Yeah, well, of course, a jewel in the crown would have to be Her Majesty's in Melbourne
Oh,
for the live theatre.
Yeah.
How did that purchase come about?
I missed out on the Gaiety Theatre in Dublin. And I thought, oh, sod this. I think probably said something really like, oh, bugger this, you know. So I went and approached them and said, do you want to sell? And they did. And they'd have had to spend a lot of money on it. And I think they thought, they weren't theatre people, they didn't want to know him.
Well, was that still J.C. Williamson's?
No, it was owned by...
Tate's? Was it the Tate family?
Rose family.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Nice bloke, the guy I dealt with.
Yes.
Younger guy. Anyway, so I just said, look, it needs a fortune spent on it. I'm prepared to do that if you'll sell it to me. And they said, oh, and I thought, we'll never get another offer like this.
Oh, good for you.
So I got it.
I've got a very interesting question, and I don't know the answer, but when you stage a production like Mary Poppins, which was a huge success, do you approach the producer and say, we want to put the show on, or does someone like a Cameron McIntosh come to you and ask, is the theatre available?
It's usually that way around, yeah. But sometimes I produce my own things too, you know.
Yes.
So it varies.
So you'd be planning years ahead with that, wouldn't you? Because
we're booked out till the end of 2019 with the major shows.
Okay, now you'd hate to have your theatre dark, so how do you juggle it so there's something happening all the time?
Oh, well, it's out of your hands. I mean, you remember the old song, There's No Business Like Show Business?
Of course.
Well, the true version of that is There's No Business Like No Business.
Yes, exactly.
When the public doesn't come. So sometimes shows don't run for as long as they should.
Yeah.
And I've got what I call my collection of stocking fillers, and so we pop them in, and we've had a lot of success with Shake, Rattle and Roll. That's been back 3 times.
Yeah, and like on September the 8th, the one off with In the Mood.
Yeah, that's right.
We've talked to the promoters about that, haven't we, Simon?
Yes.
Oh, that's selling very well.
That'll be fantastic.
Yeah, no, that'll be good. And we do a lot of that sort of stuff up at the Orpheum in Sydney. We've got our own band up there.
All right.
So if you happen to be overseas, you're wandering around overseas, you drop in and see a Broadway show and you think, oh, I quite like this.
Yeah.
Can you then come back to a promoter here and say, oi, how about putting this on in one of my theatres?
It's all over the place. Sometimes you just do it yourself. Other times you get them to come in. Other times they approach you. And, you know, having been a producer, it's a very good way to lose money.
Well, let me ask you a hypothetical question. For example, Book of Mormon, which is huge, I believe, is going into the Princess next year.
That's right.
They also have Matilda this year. Now, how come the Princess, let's say Mariners, would have scored Matilda and the Book of Mormon? Would you have put in a bid for those shows?
No, I didn't. It's called what you've got in and what gaps you've got.
Yes.
And with Mormon, we couldn't have got it in because we were booked.
Okay, and that
They'd paid their deposits for shows.
that might run a year, for example, like Matilda.
I think it'll probably do about 9 months, yeah.
So you're taking a gamble all the time, aren't you?
Yeah, you are.
You know?
Is there a healthy rivalry between you and the Mariners? Like, do you ever get on the phone and scream, I wanted that one? And
No, we don't do that. I mean, I came up with this idea of the East End Theatre District, and they were very happy about that, and they've got behind that. So,
Yes.
so well, it is. I mean, Melbourne does have a theatre district. Sydney hasn't. No one else has. London does. New York does. But very few cities have one.
You're very smart to open the show in Melbourne rather than Sydney, wouldn't you agree? A lot of shows like The Addams Family and The Jolson Story and things have died in Sydney and never got to Melbourne.
I'll tell you one of my sayings about that. If someone says, oh, this show's opening in Sydney, I say, oh, it's an out-of-town tryout.
Oh, like
If it opens in Melbourne, I say, yes, it's the premiere.
That's right.
Like off Broadway.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful, isn't it? But really, it can be the
They
kiss
get
of
very
death.
shitty about that when I say out-of-town tryout.
But isn't it true? It can be the kiss of death opening outside of Melbourne.
I think Melbourne's more receptive, let's put it that way.
Yeah,
I won't
absolutely.
shoot myself in the foot too much, but yeah.
Mike, what have you seen lately overseas that you're going to recommend to us?
Well, I'll tell you the one that I saw that I thought was very, very interesting was the Harry Potter play.
Okay.
They've done it over 2 nights. You've got to see it twice.
Oh.
Episode 1 and episode 2 type thing.
Oh,
yeah.
And it's all scored like a movie. And so it's not a musical, but it's a big...
Okay, with a live orchestra, is it?
No, it's all pre-recorded.
Yeah.
But they've got incredible technical effects and everything. It's very good. Very good. I loved that. And
So you'd be obliged to go 2 nights in a row.
you are, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I did matinee and evening.
But that'd be quite rare. That'd be like, you know, when War and Peace was on. That was like a late-hour movie or something. You had
that's
to
right,
go twice. Yeah.
But matinee and evening's a good idea because you tuck dinner into the middle of it.
Yeah, but you can't do too many of them, can you?
No, that's true.
So you just go for 2 nights. Or you might see one this week and go to the other one the next
Okay, now what else appeals to you at the moment?
Well, Aladdin's opened in Sydney, and I can't comment on that, except to say that it's got a flying carpet in it, so who knows where it'll go.
Is that sort of a panto, or is it...
No, it's a fabulous Disney musical.
Oh, okay.
And our next show is... I was going to say Puss in Boots. Kinky Boots.
Oh, that's huge, isn't it?
Yeah, huge. It was.
Did you love it?
Oh, it's a beaut show. It's really, really good, and we've got a marvellous cast for it. The black guy in it, we had to import him, and he's the one who did it in London.
Okay. Yeah, well, Ken, who's producing tonight, you saw it in New York, did you? And loved it.
Yeah, loved it.
Yeah, no, it's a good show, and I think it'll do very, very well here. Bookings are great, but there's no such thing as a full house, I keep telling people. We can always get you in.
Oh, yeah. Now, are you living in Covent Garden these days, or around there
That's
somewhere?
my home, yeah.
And do you ever get homesick for Melbourne?
Well, I come here 3 times a year.
Yes.
And probably not is the answer to that. I don't get
would you-
homesick
would
because
you-
I'm here a lot.
Would you consider spending your twilight years here?
I spent so many of my years here, Phil. It's nice to have a change.
And what about Dublin?
Dublin's out of it now. No, I'm not involved there.
But you've always loved your Irish roots, haven't you? It's been so important
I
to
didn't think
you.
we're going to cover that.
Very personal question.
Where's the dump button?
I know. That's
Now, tell us something about the Mike Walsh Fellowship. Is that like a scholarship that you award every year?
Yes.
And how does that work?
Well, anyone who's been to NIDA, which is National Institute of Dramatic Art in Sydney, or to the arts course down here, or anyone who's been to WAPA in Western Australia and graduated in one of the disciplines like acting, singing, dancing, or set design or costume design or opera or anything like that. Anyone who's actually done a course and finished it and then wants to do something extra to really finish off their training, we back them to go overseas and work at a major producing company over there.
How generous. Now, is there anybody who's made good that we'd know of as a result of your scholarship?
Oh, I didn't write any names down. And
Probably there are.
Get them all. Oh, lots, yeah. In fact, it's very interesting because now the panel this year, which we'll judge when I come back in November, will have one of the graduates from the first year of winners.
Oh, that'd be very pleasing to you.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. Well, we're going 13 years now, so...
And Mike is full of firsts, and of course, an accolade that you richly deserved a few years ago was being enlisted into the TV Week Hall of Fame. That must have been something of a thrill for you, and well deserved.
Well, thank you. But it was very interesting, actually, because this shows you how quickly people forget you. I mean, when they announced me and I walked out on stage...
Oh, no.
Right
no.
on the roof. Not that, oh, God, you're a back number.
No, you're being very modest.
No, it's true.
I'm sorry, they were overawed. They forgot to clap.
They're exhausted, Phil. You'd been on before and they'd applauded you like mad.
They need to do it earlier in the night while they're all still sober and paying attention.
Yes, well, I don't think I've ever made it through on Logie's sober.
But, you know, this leads me to ask you, when you're wandering around Australia, is there much recognition for you?
None at all. No.
Really?
No. Absolutely none. I'm quite happy with that.
This guy
Because it's all Phil lives for.
Oh,
He goes downstairs on the hour to have a breath of fresh air and
I know.
hand out fan cards
I
to
know. He
anyone
was always like that.
There are actually tram drivers.
Open the fridge door and he gets very excited.
There actually are tram drivers on the number 11 route here who actually honk their horn, ding their bell and wave to me as they go down the hill.
Yes, you haven't lost it.
No, I've got my fan base. Absolutely. But also say hello.
I won't put any lines in there.
Say hello to our friends who listen to Remember When through KLFM Bendigo. Now, this is big time.
Oh.
They're tuned to us up in the country tonight.
That's good.
Yeah.
Ararat?
No, Bendigo. and I know your TV show is on 143 stations every day, but, you know, we have to start somewhere.
Yeah, we network to one.
And you're on 3&E, aren't you?
Weekdays we are, yeah. Are you in touch with our schoolmate Johnny Nolan?
John
Nolan. Speak to him?
John Nolan's a shareholder of 3. I think he's the director of it.
Yeah, yes, we're big time, aren't we, Simon? 3&E and 2Q and Deniliquin.
Oh, that's right.
It's huge. Oh, yeah, we network, baby.
So we're across 2 states, so we call ourselves a national show.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what everyone else does.
Yeah.
I think they put the earphones on, they think they're going national.
Let's take a break. Our special guest tonight is Mike Walsh. Simon, I have to tell you how gracious it is of Mike Walsh to have come in tonight. Last time he was in Melbourne...
We've been bugging him for months.
No, apart from that, last time he was in Melbourne, I said, let's have lunch together. He said, oh, yes, I will. So he made his way out to Kew and we went to La Porchetta for lunch.
By tram.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you came out on the
Fast
109, which was very impressive. But poor Mike, he was on his own, of course, just the two of us. And every time between courses, I left him for dead to go outside and have a cigarette. Oh. And here's a great Mike Walsh twiddling his thumb, sitting in the restaurant on his own, between soup, between the spaghetti and between desserts, just sitting there, drumming his fingers and looking into space.
But it was I'm the formerly great Mike Walsh, I think you've got to say. I mean, no one knows who the bloody hell I am, but it doesn't matter.
Probably the
Just
best...
another fat-faced old bloke sitting in the corner by himself in a restaurant.
But
That's what it
the
was.
best part of the lunch as well, you get a bit of peace and quiet.
Oh, it was lovely.
Fabulous.
Would you do it again this time round?
No. I said to him the other day, Simon, he said, oh, let's do lunch. I said, if I can pick a restaurant in the city,
yes,
Then we'll go and you can pick up the bill.
Then he's got to come in and not go out for fags all the time.
No, I'm prepared to do that, and we'll go to lunch and I'll put in petty cash to 3AW. So,
Oh, that's good.
So everyone's a winner.
Just put your hand in your wallet for once.
Oh,
Questions.
that'll be breaking the tradition.
Random questions. Mike Walsh, do you take after your mother or father?
I think more like after my father, really.
Yes.
Personality, yeah, definitely. He was a very funny man.
First ever, favourite restaurant?
Oh, that changes all the time. Here in Melbourne, I like Becco, which is a beautiful little restaurant off Little Burke Street, and
What do they serve? What sort of...
Italian food. Very good Italian, yeah.
Love a good bolognese.
I was there the other day, and I was down in Hardware Street today, and I had a lasagna at some Italian restaurant that didn't know it was serving lasagna. But
Okay.
that was good.
That was your Father's Day treat, was it?
That was my Father's Day treat for myself, yes. I sat there and had and I do that, well, there's a very lovely French word for sitting alone and watching the people go by. It's flaneur.
Oh, I don't know that.
Yeah, flaneur. So if you're having a coffee or a drink and you're sitting and looking at everyone go by, which I love doing.
You don't like burying your head in a newspaper and hiding. You're quite happy just to watch the world go by.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I was thinking it's a bit sad to see someone sitting in a restaurant on their own, just
That's me.
like they've got BO or something.
John Cleese.
No, I haven't got BO, thanks, Phil. That was always your problem at school, wasn't it?
Exactly.
And tinea. I remember you had tinea.
Oh,
a lot,
yes.
Yeah.
But,
Do you want me to keep going on of your
No,
other
but
failings?
I cured that with talcum powder. I'm okay now.
It's the dandruff now is the one. If you hadn't launched yourself into showbiz as you did, what would the career of Mike Walsh have been? Was there something in the background, your tax law or no?
Well, I did pharmacy. I never finished it, but I did pharmacy. I did 4 years of that.
Yes.
And then I just thought, oh, no, I don't want to do this. Noble profession, but I'm a showbiz kid, and that's what I want to do.
Now, a couple of firsts in your life, which were really impressive, and they must have been a gamble. From memory, down at the Palais Theatre in St Kilda, you resurrected a 1922 silent movie, Napoleon.
Oh, yeah.
Probably in conjunction with Francis Ford Coppola.
That's right.
And you had a full symphony orchestra playing the soundtrack down there.
Yeah.
How enterprising was that?
It was a good one, wasn't it?
Yes. What an original thought that was.
Yeah.
Where did you find the score, or was that specially composed
Well,
for
there
you?
were two scores. The one we used was one that was put together for the movie.
No,
And
but
then
hang
there
on,
was
the movie was originally a silent movie.
Yeah, but they all had
1922.
scores for them in those big movies.
Oh, for piano.
No, for the orchestra and the theatre.
Really?
They would have been presented like, like a place like the State or the Regent in our day.
Yes.
They had big orchestra pits, and they'd have their own orchestra in the silent movie days.
Oh, wow.
And they'd play. Yeah, and then the Wurlitzer organ, which I've got at the Orpheum in Sydney.
Yes.
That came along, and that accompanied the silent films too.
Okay. So you actually used the original score then for that movie?
We used the score they used in America, which was a compile of famous things.
Oh.
And then in England, when they did it there, they did it with an original score.
And was that a commercial success for you?
Oh, yeah, it was a good money maker.
Now, something else which was huge for you was converting A Prisoner into the musical Cell Block H.
Yes.
How inspiring was that?
Oh, that was a wonderful, wacky adventure. Yes, that did well.
Did that ever play in Australia, or was it purely in the UK?
I don't think anyone picked it up out here.
I don't think so. But A Prisoner was huge in Britain, wasn't it? And still is.
Yeah,
Perhaps.
Yeah. And Maggie Kirkpatrick was so funny because she came over to star in it. The rest of it were English actors, and one was a drag queen who was very, very funny, and he's since gone on to all sorts of great things. But it was, I thought it was going to be touching in places, but the audience just found it absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
So I played like a great big panto. And we left it alone at that.
Now, which theatres are you connected with in the West End?
None. I don't own any theatres there.
No, but you produce shows, don't you?
Yeah,
like,
I produce,
like you did Nonsense and all those things in the past.
Yeah, I've done a lot. And last year we were at Shaftesbury Avenue with a couple of shows, and my producing partner Daniel Sparrow has just been involved in. He went back to the Palladium. We had Chorus Line there a couple of years ago.
Oh, fabulous!
And he went back there with Scooby Doo.
Okay.
He's there again.
How's that going?
Oh, it goes very well.
Yeah? I'd be interested in seeing that.
All right.
Other shows that you've seen, you travel a lot.
Yeah.
See anything that you're planning to bring to Melbourne, or just something that you've loved?
As
or?
I've explained earlier, you don't really, you can have so many irons in the fire and you don't know which one's going to heat up first. But when I was in America this time, I saw Aladdin, which is coming here to Sydney at the moment. And then I saw She Loves Me, which was just wonderful. And because I'd met Sheldon Harnick, who's now 93, and his lovely wife Marjorie, we went out to supper with them. And he, at 93, he's got She Loves Me running in New York, and Fiddler on the Roof, which he wrote as well.
She Loves Me, a great score, isn't it?
Yeah, and then he wrote the lyrics for Umbrellas of Cherbourg, which is a show I did a couple of years ago in London.
I think Ginny Pratt put on She Loves Me, as
That's right, they did sometime
as a
back.
show, and her shows are mainly sort of in concert, aren't they? They're not full theatrical productions.
Well, they're
normally.
pretty damn close. I mean, I Curtains the other day had as much sets and costumes as it did on Broadway.
I was at Sydney, though. I didn't think you were coming down from Sydney for that.
I was in the paid seats.
Oh, I was with the media. I want to ask you about a couple of people. I'm sure you've come across them over the years. One would be Andrew Lloyd Webber. Have you had much to do with him?
No, I don't, but I know him, yeah.
All right. Do you have a high regard for him? Or?
Oh, I think he's brilliant. I saw his new show, School of Rock, in New York.
Oh, he's still writing.
He's still writing, and it's very, very good.
All right.
It's it's a damn good show.
And
I put my hand up for that, I can tell you.
Have you ever done anything in partnership with Cameron McIntosh?
Yep, I've done, Mary Poppins was with him.
Oh, okay.
And we've done shows in London with him, yeah.
All right.
Tim Rice?
Don't know him. He goes to the cricket lot, doesn't he?
I don't know. I just
That's
know,
his great passion.
I just know I liked chess, which didn't last long on the stage when it came out here.
It's never worked, that show.
No, unfortunately.
One of those.
I enjoyed the soundtrack.
Yeah, it's a great soundtrack.
Yeah.
In fact, they should have just stayed with the concert version of it, in my opinion. Because I saw another go at it last year up in Leicester, and it just doesn't work.
Now, being influential as you are, say you took a shine to, well, let's say Roy Orbison, for example, and you thought, boy, his life story would make a wonderful musical with all the songs that he composed and recorded. What's your first move? Do you look for a backer to start with or a producer?
No, you've got to get the concept right first. And it's, ideas are 10 a penny. Everyone comes up with ideas. But you've got to get it together. And it's a huge project getting a musical together.
And have you done it at all? Have you ever been inspired to suggest, hey, this would make a wonderful show, and it's happened? Has that happened?
I've done some flops.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you see,
But you never mention them because the people who are in them don't think they're flops, and you don't go around naming them and saying, "Oh, God, that damn thing lost a fortune on that."
Well, it's very honest for you to say that because most people only talk about their triumphs, don't they?
Oh yeah, endlessly. Yeah.
Yeah. So like gamblers only talk about their winnings, not their losses.
That's right. Yeah. But if you're in theatre, you're going to lose money somewhere. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
Is there any show that you wish you had been a part of? You sat in the audience and watched it and thought, if only I had that.
Oh, a lot of shows. In fact, one's coming. I love a good old tap dance show, and there's one coming back into London in October, which is 42nd Street.
Oh, you can't go wrong with that, can you?
A very good friend of mine, Helen Montague, was the producer on that.
Oh.
And I was at the closing night of it in London when the last show closed. And I was with Helen and her family, and she said, "Hey, darling, we're getting out of here and going for a drink." And I said, "Oh, fine." I said, "Aren't there drinks for everyone else?" "I can't stand anyone in this company anymore."
Oh, how good is that?
So we went off and drowned our sorrows.
I suppose entrepreneurs really look now to revivals. They're sure hits, aren't they? You can't miss with a revival where everyone is familiar with the music. I'll say 42nd Street, Anything Goes.
Anything Goes. No, Anything Goes always loses money. I've done that one.
Oh, really?
Always loses money.
Cole Porter, does it?
No, always loses money.
It was on last year.
I had that conversation conversation with Cameron McIntosh about 4 years ago. He said,
Oh.
I believe you've done Anything Goes. And I said, yeah. And he said, did you lose money? I said, yes. And he said, so did I.
Oh, really?
He said it's like a big club.
Really?
Anyone who's produced Anything Goes has lost money.
A bit corny now, perhaps, today.
Oh, I love it. But, I mean, you know, you don't put on shows that you love. That's a big mistake.
I think there's more a trend toward any new musicals tend to be a bit based around the music of a particular person, so that people don't need to learn the music beforehand. Like your We Will Rock Yous, it's all the music from Queen. And
Yeah.
And,
No, I don't agree. I'm going back to see Groundhog Day. I've got tickets for that next week.
Yeah.
And that's been made into a musical, and it's a huge success. And an old one you might remember, Half a Sixpence.
Oh, I love that. That was Tommy Steele originally.
Tommy Steele, yeah.
Yes,
And
I played Sid Pornick in the school production of that. I'll just throw in. Yes, it was the
unfortunate name.
Well, he was one of the characters, the brother of the lead character.
A great show, wasn't it?
A dear little show. Well, they've reworked it considerably. And they've got new numbers in it as well, as Flashbang Wallop and those. And that's Cameron McIntosh has got that.
Hey, Mike, we'll take a break and come back and say goodnight to you.
Mike Walsh live in studio with us at 5 to 10.
It'd
Mike,
be hard to be dead in the studio, wouldn't it? Wouldn't be very interesting.
very valid point. Mike Walsh, the life you lead now, is it a life of luxury and relaxation and just the occasional, I better do some work today, or are you still driven, ambitious, looking for the next thing?
No, I'm pretty relaxed about life these days. And I've employed a lot of good people, and I've learnt how to delegate, which I could never do when I was a young guy. You know, I had to do hands-on with everything. Now I'm quite happy to say, isn't that your job?
Now, you know, you're so fulfilled in so many ways. Is there still anything on your bucket list? Have you got any more mountains to climb?
Don't think like that, but I mean, I get very excited when I see things. Before I came in tonight, I was watching that building show on the ABC, and they're doing it out in New Zealand at the moment. They're building the most amazing houses and things, and I think, I wouldn't mind doing that. You know, I still like building.
If you so actually pick up a hammer and go in there?
Oh, no,
no.
Haven't you done that yet? More of that.
If, hypothetically, somebody picked up the phone from Foxtel or wherever and made a huge offer for you to return to the TV screen, what would be your response?
No.
Under no circumstances?
No, I can't see it. I mean, you must never say no, as you know. But I can't see it, no.
It wouldn't please you to be in front of the TV cameras again?
No, not at all.
You've moved on from there?
Yeah.
Well, aren't we different? Because the Ham and me, I just want to keep performing all the time.
Yeah, I know a lot of people like that, but it's just not me. I became a performer because I had a talent for it.
Yeah.
And but I'd rather be the man owning theatres and putting on shows.
Sure. Phil's only asking so he can contact, Grundy's and all of them and say, Mike's not interested, but I'm available.
Oh, yeah. No, it won't happen because it's a young man's game, but I'd happily take on another panel game or quiz show or whatever.
Yeah. Stuart, I mean, in England, being old doesn't rule you out of...
Nor in America, right?
So perhaps
nor in America, that's right.
Yeah.
So perhaps look to England, Phil.
Oh, well, yes, you could be losing me, folks.
I'll have a word to the powers over there.
Look, I'm thrilled you came in tonight. I especially want to thank our mutual friend Mary Murphy, who's been setting this up for quite some time now.
She's not well, so she'll appreciate it.
And, of course, Mary, who was in the theatre herself, and I always tease her, that she performed with Gladys Moncrief, Ormond Douglas, and Charles Norman. She could kill me for that because, of
she
course...
probably will.
They are long gone.
Yeah. How much longer are you in Melbourne for?
I fly out next Thursday. Yeah.
What, plans for the rest of the week? You got things you want to do, places you want to go?
I'll be in the office at the theatre tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay. Work.
Well, it's been so nice that you dropped by tonight, and we look forward to the next time you're in town, and maybe during the week you'll join me at La Porchetta, providing you understand that between courses I disappear.
Yes. Thanks, Phil. Thanks, Dan.
It's been lovely to meet you, Mike. It's an honour and a privilege, and it's something I've ticked off my bucket list now.
Oh, I love bucket lists.
Our special guest on Remember When, Mike Walsh.
Bye-bye.